next guest speaker is Mr. Ali Sa'adat, CIO of Monetary Capital Partners, former partner Goldman Sachs. Mr. Ali Sa'adat, please.
Thank you very much. Jاvیدشاه, the martyr's cry for return of constitutional monarchy. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, dear Canadians, I'm especially honored to see among our audience today Honorable MP Vincent Hu, Ahmed Hussein, and Larry Brock, as well as Francesco Sorbetti, Mayor West, and Honorable Michael Parsa. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for your strong support of Iranian people's struggle for freedom. Your presence here means a great deal to us. Thank you. In January 2026, the streets of Iran ran with blood. Thousands of young people, young men and women marched peacefully. They raised one simple, powerful chant, Jaavid Long live the Shah. They asked for three things only: dignity, accountability, a government that answers to the people. The regime answered with machine guns. On January 8th and 9th, security forces opened fires on unarmed crowds. They killed tens of thousands, men, women, school children. This was a massacre. Today, here at this event, we honor the martyrs of January 2026. We condemn the massacre in the strongest possible words. The blood cries out for justice, and we will not be silent. What did those young people mean when they shouted Jaavid? They were calling for the past. They were calling for a return to the proud and successful past they once had. They were calling for the restoration of the parliamentary constitutional monarchy after the interruption of the 1979 revolution. The exact system that gave Iran its fastest economic growth in history, soaring literacy, women's rights, modern universities, highways, factories, and a rising middle class until it was destroyed by the Islamic Revolution. Under that system, real GDP in Iran grew by more than 10% a year between 1963 and 1977. GDP per capita grew tenfold. A broad middle class emerged. Ordinary Iranian families bought cars, television, refrigerators, modern homes, things that once were unimaginable just a generation before. And sadly, things that remain unimaginable luxuries to many Iranians today after one generation. Under the Iran's constitutional monarchy, women entered universities, the workforce, and public life in unprecedented numbers. Iran became the largest industrial economy in the Middle East and stood on the edge of becoming a true regional power. The young men and women who gave their life, they were not asking for something new. They were demanding to go back to what worked. The constitutional order that made Iran a rising power before the 1979 revolution and Islamic Republic destroyed it. Just as their ancestors did in the 1905 constitutional revolution, and just as their ancestors fought and died to create Iran's first parliament and remain constitution, these young people in 2026, 120 years later, were ready to give everything so that same dream could live again. Friends, Canada understands this system better than any other nation on earth. You have the crown as a symbol of continuity and stability. We have a parliament that reigns supreme. Your prime minister and cabinet must keep the confidence of the House. This is the exact model that the Iranian people were defending and demanding in January 2026. They were asking for the restoration of parliamentary constitutional monarchy after the interruption of the 1979 Islamic Revolution. They were asking for the system that delivered real progress, the system that looked very much like Canada's. To honor the martyrs, we must speak plainly. The young people did not die for another ideological experiment. They died for the return of constitutional order. They died for parliamentary democracy under a constitutional monarch, the Shah. They died so that Iran could go back to the path it was on before 1979. The 1979 revolution itself was born in opposition to those very achievements that Iran achieved before under the Shah. The Islamist and Marxist leader of the revolution first rose against the parliamentary reforms of the 1960s. Beginning with the violent protest of 1963 against the parliamentary reforms that gave women the right to vote, the same alliance later overthrew the constitutional parliamentary system in 1979 and replaced it with clerical rule, with theocracy. Today, many of the Islamic regime's proxies hide behind the banner of feminism and women's rights. It is deeply ironic that so many so-called feminists and women rights advocates have formed alliances with a government whose very foundation rests on non-democratic protest against giving women the right to vote. If these groups truly want a coalition, they should accept one simple fact. Real political alliances are formed through a parliament, not by paid agents who have turned the Iranian opposition into a business of collecting funds from foreign governments or helping former regime officials seek refuge. It is sad to see that the same way that the Somali community is fleecing American taxpayers, there is unfortunately a group of opposition group who also fleece the taxpayers to fund their so-called activities without any result for more than 15 years. We thank the government of Canada for opening its doors and giving a home to so many Iranians feeling persecution. But we have also noticed that some former Iranian government officials, including those who now pretend to support people's movements, are taking advantage of Canadian hospitality and good nature. The martyrs of history were not fools, and neither are the martyrs of the Jaavidshaah movement. Our honored dead did not die in vain. History has already shown us the path in Iran. In 1905, when Iranians reached peacefully for a constitution and a parliament, the Qajar regime answered with bullets and cannons. Peaceful protests were met with massacre, but the people did not surrender. Heroes and martyrs like Sattar Khan, Sardar Melli, and Baqir Khan, Salar Melli in Tabriz, along with countless others who took up defensive arms when all peaceful avenues were closed, created the necessary deterrence. Their courageous deterrence forced the regime to calculate the real cost of continued slaughter. It was that balance of power, not endless one-sided killing, that ultimately compelled the Qajar Shah to restore the constitution and the Majlis. It is sad to see that today many people who collect funds from the US government and other foreign governments try to peddle empty dreams of peaceful resistance without are aiming to create deterrence against the killing of Iranian citizens. The lesson is clear. Absent any credible deterrence, tyrannical regimes do not stop killing. The IRGC has proven this again and again, most brutally in the January 2026 massacre that claimed tens of thousands of lives. a defensive capability in the hands of Iranian people would not increase violence. It would reduce it. When commanders know that they can be held accountable, they hesitate. They pull back. They choose restraint over massacre. This is how deterrence has always worked. From the streets of Tabriz in 1909 to every oppressed people who have ever faced a regime that kills with impunity. From the ghettos of Warsaw to the resistance in France, it was always the resistance and balance of power that created deterrence against one-sided killing. The goal is not more bloodshed. The goal is fewer deaths. The goal is to break the cycle in which the regime murders without consequence and the people die without protection. True peace comes only when the murderers know they can no longer murder without cost. Until that balance is restored, the killing will unfortunately continue. A credible deterrent is therefore the most humane path to fewer death, exactly as it was for the heroes and martyrs of 1905 and 1909. And in 2026, that deterrence can take the form of drones and other modern weaponry in the hands of the Iranian people. An armed opposition is what could deter the murder on the streets of Iran. And this is not just the streets of Tehran, it's in every small cities. We are very proud of fellow compatriots who will take arms to avenge the life of the ones who were murdered by IRGC. But the goal is not revenge. The goal is to create deterrence and to create conditions for overthrow of the government. It may not be peaceful, but it is the most humane path. Just as the heroes of 1905 did not die in vain, those brave souls of 2026 did not die in vain. Their sacrifice now calls every one of us to finish the work they began. Let us send a clear message today. We condemn January 2026 massacre without reservation. We stand with the Iranian people and their demand for restoration of parliamentary constitutional monarchy after the interruption of the 1979 revolution. We support Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi as the legitimate heir and the voice of that restoration. We call for tighter sanctions on the regime leaders and revolutionary guards. We call for Western governments to endorse arming the Iranian people. To the martyrs of January 2026, your names may be unknown to many in this room, but your courage is known in history. Your blood waters the tree of liberty. Your chant, Jاویدشاه, will echo until Iran is free. To the people of Iran watching from rooftops and windows, you are not alone. Millions of us, here in Canada and around the world, stand with you. Your fight is our fight. Your freedom will be our shared victory. Ladies and gentlemen, history is watching us today. Let us prove that Canada still believes in parliamentary democracy, in constitutional monarchy, and in the rights of the Iranian people to reclaim the free system they once had. Because when people remember who they were, they can become who they meant to be again. Jاویدشاه, long live freedom, long live a democratic constitutional Iran. Thank you.